Namaskaram to everyone. So verse 29, those who strive for liberation from old age to death, taking refuge in me, they realize the whole Brahman, the Adhyatma, which is the individual self, and all karma action. So the three things the verse talks about, Brahman, Adhyatma, and karma. We did mention, just reiterating again, Brahman is the consciousness. When we speak of it from the totality perspective, the homogeneous mass of consciousness, which enlivens everything, which ensures everything functions. It is the life-giving force. So we are only talking about terminology. The terminology is when we talk of the reality from a macrocosmic perspective, from the totality perspective, it is called Brahman. It is termed Brahman. But when the same reality is referred to from an individual perspective, that which enlivens the equipments to function, that we call it as the Atman. In the context, the verse calls it as Adhyatma, the individual self. So there is no bifurcation. There is no division in the self. The reality is only one. We can't say God is divisible. God is indivisible, just like even space is indivisible, isn't it? Space itself cannot be divided. Similarly, in fact, Atman or the self is subtler than space. So if space is itself indivisible, forget Atman. Atman obviously is beyond all this division. Now, why I'm saying that is, many people have a belief that when a person dies, the individual self merges with the total self, giving an implication that there is a separation between the Brahman and Atman. So there is no separation between Brahman and Atman. They have no individual standing. It is just a terminology we have given for our own understanding. So Brahman is from a macrocosmic, the totality perspective, and the same truth from individual microcosmic perspective is the Atman. And then the karma actions. So he who understands in full, he says, are liberated. They realize in full, in totality, the relationship between Brahman, Atman, and actions. Now that there were, I don't know whether we gave ourselves more than one example, but the example we gave ourselves was, if Brahman is the sun, the sunlight is all pervasive. That's the Brahman. So the sun rays is the Atman, and the reflection of the rays are the various actions. I repeat, the sun is the Brahman, the sun rays is the Atman, and the reflection of the sun rays are the various actions. And we also clearly mentioned that the reflection happens only where there is a reflecting medium. So the reflecting medium Vasantama, you're copying Vasantama. You lost something.
Hariom Guruji, no,
Hari.
Setuji wanted this thing.
Oh.
Clarification. That's it. It's looking at mine and telling.
Any clarification, Setuji?
No. Just last explanation. Those who strive for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me. They realize in full that Brahman, Adhyatma, and all karma. I was telling that sentence is little incomplete. So.
It's not complete. Why not complete?
They realize in full that Brahman, Adhyatma, and all karma.
They realize that. They realize Brahma, Adhyatma, and karma. I don't know if I'm correct.
See, in effect, what it means is they understand the relationship between Brahman, Atman, and action. You understand? That is the implication. That's understanding. Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So what should be the understanding? We have clearly established this through the studies. What is the understanding we should have of Brahman, Atman, and karma? Rajama, which state are you? Jagrata, Sapna, Sushupti. Or Turiya. Or Turiya.
Jagrata Guru.
Oh, not reached Turiya yet. Huh? So what is the relationship between Brahman and action? Were you there last session? Then very much you should be answering the question. No problem.
Sorry.
Sanjay, no problem. Sanjay, what's the relationship between Brahman and karma?
So my understanding at the moment is that Brahman is related to is Atman and the gross matter, but is not related to our actions. Sorry.
Were you there last week?
Yes.
Then I don't expect this from you.
Okay. Okay, so my the other direction was that that Brahman is everything. It is a relationship of oneness. Brahman, the Adhyatma, and karma.
So I'll help you in getting to the point. Now, if you recall, last week I said that the reflection is the action, isn't it? And the reflections, the sun rays, when they reflect, the reflection is qualified by the attributes of the reflecting medium. You remember that?
Yes.
So if action is related to the reflection, The question is, what has Brahman's relationship with action? Is like asking the question, what is the relationship of the sun to the reflection?
Is this where we need to bring in the reflecting medium?
Indeed. That's how you give me the relationship between the sun, like an ignorant child, a small child. When he sees the sun through a red reflecting medium, the sun appears red. Through a green, it appears green. So the child is confused. In one place it appears red, in another place it appears green, in some other place appears blue. Now the child is asking, is the sun green, red, and blue? What would you tell to the child?
We would say the sun is not green, red, or blue. It's the attributes of the reflecting medium.
It's the attributes of the reflecting medium. So the sun above is colorless, isn't it? But the color is attributed to the medium which creates a specific reflection. Now I ask you, so to extend that argument further, you can even go to the extent and tell the child, the sun has got nothing to do with the reflection, man. Wouldn't you say so? Isn't
Yes.
it right to establish that? Similarly, the question was, what is the relationship of Brahman to karma? See, it would help if you give the comparisons. Can you repeat the comparisons we have already established? The Brahman, Adhyatma, and action with reference to the example, please.
The example of the sun.
Yes.
So the Brahman is the sun.
Yes.
The Adhyatma are the sun rays, the self, and then the reflections are the actions.
What are the actions?
So my
Actions are the reflections, isn't it?
actions are the reflections. So my understanding from last week was that the reflecting medium only reflects back where it has vasanas.
The reflecting medium is the vasana.
Okay.
The reflecting medium is the vasana. So we are all having different reflections. One fellow is grumpy, one fellow is very smiling, one fellow is short, one fellow is tall, one fellow is fit, one fellow is active, other fellow is ill-organized, other fellow is very, very organized. Or what are all these reflections?
So these are vasanas, and these are also the colors that you are speaking about?
Absolutely. These different colors or flavors of different humans is because of the inherent vasanas you are with. So going back to the conclusion with reference to the colors, what has got the sun got to do with the reflection? Has it got to do anything with the reflection? Nothing. The sun has no business with the reflection. Similarly, Brahman has no relationship with the action and the fruits of your action. Your karma and karma phala. I'm just adding karma phala here. Karma is your action, not the fruits of your action. It's not that complicated. I'm just trying to reiterate what the text is saying, and we're just trying to give an example so we understand what Brahman, Adhyatma, and Karma are. So far, so good, Sanjay? Perfect. Reddy Garu, I know there's something is amiss, sir.
Is Guruji? No, I'm just
Oh.
trying to grapple the understanding.
Yeah.
Since I missed last class, so I'll make
Oh,
it.
you missed it. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Right. No, if you missed it, it would be a little difficult, I think, given.
I think
I think.
The
Yes,
recording
yes.
also has not shared, Guruji. I missed it to see that.
I think it
It is
is
not
now.
done.
It is available, sir. It is available. I think.
It's already uploaded.
Yes, I think there was a delay, if I'm not wrong, but it's available.
Okay, fine. Because I was searching 2 days back, I could not locate it. Okay.
I think it was there sometime yesterday, if I'm not wrong.
Oh, okay, fine.
There was a delay.
I'll get connected, Guruji.
Yeah, but are you able to get
Yes,
this
yes,
for
yes,
now?
Guruji. Yes, I'm able to try to get that.
Yeah, okay, great. Right. Ram Garu? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So I read the takeaways also, and then I think listening to you now has clarified it further. So basically what this says is that sun has nothing to do with the reflections, but without sun, there are no reflections. Similarly, Brahman has nothing to do with actions, but without Brahman, there are no actions. So
Absolutely.
he is the cause of everything, but he is not
Responsible.
responsible for the actions.
Yeah.
So that's what I picked up from this.
Yes. So therefore, what do we draw out of it? Where is the one is a statement of fact, sir. This is a statement of fact.
Yeah.
Now, how to convert this statement of fact into a statement of practice?
So basically, I think if we try to come to a stage where we, we are lost in the reflections now, we are lost in the actions now. But
whose actions?
Our own actions or others' actions, whatever.
We are lost not only in our actions, we are caught up in others' actions also.
Others' actions also. So
if somebody is grumpy, we are agitated. Right. I am not grumpy. Why should be I agitated?
Yeah, I know, sir.
Oh, you know it, sir. How do you know it, sir?
No, I'm saying that if someone is grumpy at home, definitely.
No,
I
didn't mean anything like that, sir. I just generally made a statement, sir.
I know, sir. If somebody on the road is grumpy, I am not bothered. But if my wife is grumpy, I have to be bothered, right? So
why, sir? Why should you be bothered, sir? It's like she eating a chili and your stomach is paining, sir. Why should that happen, sir?
That happens sometimes.
Oh, that's the logic.
Unless we reach a stage of complete detachment. Yes.
So the abhyasa, the statement of fact, has to be converted into a statement of practice. So what's the statement of practice for us?
Well, I think we have to keep removing the medium over a period of time. The vasanas have to be eliminated one by one, so that you are understanding or you are reaching that level of oneness with between the Atman and the Brahman, which is always one, but we always perceive it to be different. But I think, I don't know if that's what I feel, whether I'm right or wrong, but I think the effort is to keep removing the medium so that the reflections are minimized.
No, that's one way. I would want to take a different angle to it. Now, we have always maintained, even now, as I was telling Sanjay, I said, sun has got nothing to do with the reflection. Are we right?
Yep.
So when we say sun, no doubt is the illuminating factor. It has got nothing to do with it. So it is the enlivening principle and yet it remains a perfect witness. Even in the takeaways that came out very candidly, it enlivens, yet it remains a witness. This is a statement of fact.
Yeah.
Now, what is it we can draw from the statement of fact to apply into a statement of practice? Now, application is with reference to action. Am I right?
Yeah.
Application is with reference to action, because everything has to relate to action. That is the growth. If there is inaction, there's no growth. Now, when we perform action, the natural tendency is we tend to get carried away. We tend to get involved in the action. Am I right?
Yeah.
Now, when we get carried away by what? We are getting carried away not only by our actions, we are getting carried away by others' actions as well.
Right.
We're involved in others' actions. We're involved with our own actions. And wherever there is this level of involvement or attachment, there is bound to be suffering. Am I right?
Yeah.
So, what is the stance Atman is taking to action? Or Brahman is taking to action? Because Brahman and Atman are one and the same. What is the stance of Atman to action? It is a witness.
Correct.
Now, what is the quality I can practice with reference to actions of others and one's own actions?
To be a witness or to be unaffected by them. Yeah.
To remain unaffected, to remain a witness, to be a sakshi. So when you are able to maintain a witness to others' actions to begin with, start practicing with reference to others, then you can come to yourself. If somebody is grumpy, that is their personality. What have you got to do with it? Pushpama, somebody is grumpy, let that be their nature. You have got nothing to do with their nature.
But it requires a lot of patience and tolerance.
No, why should you be patient and tolerant to what? You bring in a dog. Isn't the nature of the dog to bark? Why do you bring a dog and then complain that dog is barking? That is the nature of the dog. Would you say, I have to tolerate the dog? You brought the dog with lovingly to your home, and then you say, would you complain of the dog? Even if the neighbor has brought a dog. In fact, our neighbor has got a new tenant, and along with they shifting, they brought 2 dogs with them. So now there is additional music to the existing music. Now what we have to do, we have to, I have to complain about the dog? I have to say, understand, dogs are going to bark. That is the nature. So either I get disturbed with the dog barking, or I understand it's the nature of the dog barking and accept it. Otherwise, I am complaining constantly because the dog is barking. But the dog, what it's doing, the dog is doing its dharma to bark. How? So am I right or the dog right? Am I wrong or the dog is wrong? I don't know who is right, who is wrong. We have to understand the nature of the dog is to bark. I have to understand it, and I say, let it do its dharma. What have I got to do with it? If I am so annoyed, put some earplugs. That's all.
Sir, can I just ask something? Or you are interacting with Pushpama, and then
Pushpama now has become Atman to me. She's become silent witness. She's not saying anything. So I don't know now. I am only performing action. She's become Atman Brahman.
No, we'll blame the dog also if we don't bark.
If it dog, if thief comes into the house, you will go and complain to the dog. Why did you not bark? Correct. I was expecting this kind of an answer from her, no, Ramji, She is my MMS. What is MMS?
What is MMS? I don't know, sir.
Then how did you nod your head, sir? She is my MMS. She is my most mischievous student.
Oh, acha, acha. Okay, okay.
And I'm proud to say she is my most mischievous student.
Very good.
Oh my God. Nobody can ever come anywhere near to her. How studious she looks, and what she is in reality are poles apart. Sanjay, you must come and see her. It is worth coming to Hyderabad to meet Amma.
Trying to be more serious student.
You see, that is not your dharma.
I know the other day when after our puja,
Japan, sir.
when we were having breakfast, she came and asked me, "Are you going to summarize today's actions?"
So you got a taste of it.
I know, I know.
Yes, sir. You are wanting to ask something, sir.
Yes, sir. No, I was just asking that I wanted to ask that the challenge really becomes big when we see in the society. I mean, I'm not talking of small things, but when you see big things like people making money indiscriminately, people affecting others' lives through their actions, and people are so unfair to other human beings and their fellow citizens, and so that's where actually it pinches everybody. And the real challenge lies in remaining a sakshi to that kind of a thing, and then trying to lead your life in a normal fashion. I think that's where many people find, I agree with you that one has to leave it that it is the nature and it is the vasanas of that fellow that he is doing all that. But how long can people remain witness to such things is also a question.
Sir, being a witness doesn't mean you become indifferent. Being indifferent is tamas.
Yeah.
Being witness while you perform your duties. If you have an obligation, let's say if you are a chairman of an organization or a head of a department and there's some mischief happening, something unethical is happening, something wrong is happening, some inequality exists in the corporate culture. As a leader of your organization, you bring in an equality there. Bring in a sense of recognition, bring a sense of oneness, a commonness in the team. You can't be indifferent. Now, as a leader of as a successful leader of the industry, you can influence other leaders to bring about a paradigm shift in the work culture of organizations. To the extent you can, you have to influence the society. We have to perform our duty, our dharma. Thereafter, whatever karma phala comes, you have to gracefully accept it. You know.
I think that is the important piece, because I thought it is important to clarify that point. Otherwise, we should not think that it is advocating inaction.
No, not at all.
Or indifference. I think we should do our job, but with a level of detachment, and then with a level of detachment to the fruits of that. I think that's what. Yeah. No.
So there are two elements to Brahman, sir. As we said, first, Brahman does its dharma of being the enlivening principle. It vitalizes everything. It is the symbol of energy. It gives life. So you must be that life-giving force wherever you go.
Yeah.
Energize. Whatever your dharma is required, you do it. At the same time, be unaffected to whatever that happens, because that is the true nature of Brahman. Now what's happening? We are getting involved with whatever we are doing, and we are not doing whatever duty demands us to do. So we are not doing our dharma, nor are we remaining detached. This is the abhyasa we got to practice.
Thank you, sir.
Right, sir. So I will, before I give another example, I think Sitaramji raised his hand. Sir, is there anything?
it was the same point which Ram was mentioning, that the sun is the enlivening factor. So to that extent, it is not the same as karmas, or it's not the same. So it's not connected in that sense. So, but the connection exists in the sense that it is enlivening. Without sun, there's no action or something. So to that extent, there's a connection, but not connection in the sense of being directly connected in that way. It's changed by the vasanas and reflection medium and all that.
Yes, sir. So let's say, going by the example I gave, Ramji, let's say you are head of an organization, you're leading a team. The entire team looks up to the leader. What kind of a leader are you? What kind of energy you bring into your work? What are your value systems? What ethics you practice? How do you go about conducting yourself? So is it not responsible as a leader to create the tempo for the entire team?
Yeah.
So as it were, you become the life-giving principle to the organization, is it not?
Yeah.
At the same time, you will also understand the different characteristics, the different natures of your team members, and understand it's their own personality. And you will have to remain unaffected by everything that happens around you. Is it not, sir?
Yeah.
So are we not taking the principle of action or being the life-giving principle by you being active, at the same time remain unaffected, which is the trait of Brahman here?
Yeah.
Exactly the same way, you as a head of the family, wouldn't you inspire your children, inspire your family in the right direction? And yet today, if your children have taken to a course of life, would you not say, I have done my best, but yet they have chosen something which is innate to their nature. It's their vasanas, it's their own personality. You wouldn't be sitting and holding your head as you're supporting your head partly now.
True.
You wouldn't, yo, what have I done? So much I've done for them, but look at these fellows, what have they up to? Oh, you don't get excited. Oh, look at them. They have gone far beyond what I've done to them. Even that excitement is not there. The petrol is the same in a Ferrari. The petrol is the same in a Maruti 800. Isn't it, sir? The performance is more because of the vasanas. It's nothing to do with the petrol.
Yeah. Only one thing I would maybe just to understand it better. The thing is, when we say that our children are what they are, I mean, of course, they come through us, whatever, etc. But the fact is that one must accept what they are, because the same enlivening force is also in them. So their actions to a large extent are on the basis of their vasana. So accepting that, I think, makes it much easier to be able to deal with it. That yeah, so that when you want to look at a corrective action or be more of a witness, etc., that acceptance that they are what they are because of their vasanas and whatever has happened. So that acceptance makes it much easier to take action, I think.
It is. It is to understand you are, as going by the example, the reflection is based on the characteristic of the medium, full stop, nothing else. And the medium is the glass. It is nothing to do with the sun. And you are the sun. Going by the example of the head of the family or leader of an organization, you become the sun. You become the life-giving principle. You enliven everything, every department. You give direction to every employee, every element in the organization thrives because of your action. But yet you would remain unnecessarily, you don't get unnecessarily ruffled by everything that's happened. There's no need to.
Yeah.
You remain a sakshi.
Yeah. This acceptance is, I think, very difficult to do.
Sir, I don't see a difference between understanding is accepting, sir. So when you understand something is as good as accepting. When you understand the nature of a fox is cunning, do you have any difficulty accepting its nature?
Yeah. No. The only difference I would say is, to accept without getting emotionally attached. That's where the difference comes. I mean, yes, we understand you're different, but to not let it color your thinking or not to get emotionally entangled, that is where the difficulty arises.
To that extent, there is no wisdom.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's
To
where
that extent, emotions come and create a
that's-
turmoil.
especially when they're within the family. If it's in an organization, it's much easier. If it is in the society, it's much more easier. But I mean, as the circle
Sir,
widens,
perhaps, yes. It becomes far more difficult to practice objectivity.
yeah, that's right. When it's nearer.
It's near.
That's difficult. But it's a matter of practice, as you said.
Yes. So the other example I would wish to take in the context is the various actors on the stage, an actor, and the drama. The various actors. So as an actor, what do? Just do your role, play your role. When you have to play the role, get onto the stage, play the role and get out. Get off the stage. And while you're playing the role, what do you tell to yourself? Shivaji, while you're playing the role on the stage, what do you tell to yourself?
Just do the role, be the role, be in it completely, without looking at the output. You just do your role. Simple.
Yeah.
Nothing beyond.
But what is your understanding while you're playing the role?
I'm just playing the role. I'm not that.
It is, you have an inward understanding that I've put on a garb, which is not me. One day
Yes,
I'm playing the role as a sannyasi. Other day they're giving me a role as a dacoit.
Vesham.
Vesham da. Are you a sannyasi or a dacoit?
Neither.
That's what. It's just a role. Not only me, you understand every actor on the stage is playing a role. So you remain completely detached from that stage, from the drama, from the actions, from the actors. But yet you give your part and then say, I've got nothing to do with this role.
Like God has got nothing to do with what our actions are.
Absolutely.
He's
God
not
has
going
got
to change, or he's not going to change it, or he's not going to make it better.
No, God has got nothing to do with it. He's not going to make anything. And it's very important to play your role well. So that you don't mix roles. You know, like example, when I'm in the badminton court playing with my team members, imagine I play the role as a guru. I can't play the role as a guru there with them. I play a role as a sportsman, as a co-member. That's it. Other day, somebody came, a member who knows, and he came and told me, I watch your YouTube videos, but you're very different here. So you don't expect me to lecture to you all, do you? I wouldn't do that. You're not that. This doesn't demand. Including yesterday night, somebody was telling me, I can see exactly where you are and what different role you play here. So it is to clearly understand the roles you play. So you have to be so objective to that role you play. That's what important thing is. You've got to be very objective to the role and don't allow it to spill forward and carry it forward. That is the abhyasa from this mantra. So even though there's a matter of fact, which is a lakshana vakya means a statement of fact. Even though it's a matter of fact, what we need to understand is converted into a statement of practice. Ritika, okay? So actions remain neutral all the time. It doesn't
Yes.
get tarnished by anything. You keep performing action.
That's true. I think
And that
we need-
actions keep producing.
That's true, Guruji. It's something like we need to do actions. We can't get run away from that. Like you want to peel the fruit out of jackfruit. So put little oil to the palm and start peeling that. So it's unattached. And the end result is important that we need to take the fruit out of it.
Correct.
So because of the feeling and the fear, we can't leave the fruit there.
Correct, sir. It's like you want to go rob, apply enough oil on your body and go to rob. Because if
Go
people
to-
catch you, your hand will slip. It will slip away. Correct.
That's where the wisdom has been given.
Correct, sir.
People to perform.
So you want to rob people also, you want to put oil, you want to remove jackfruit also, you want to put oil. So same thing, sir.
Yes, Guruji, I think it makes very objective to the role you play. Simply get detached the moment the action is being performed. So not get entangled with emotions. I could see their dramas, their uncertainties, they'll be dragged in and pulled inside to their life. Most of the times.
As Sitaranji said, the most important element to remove out of the equation is the emotional element. Not that you become heartless. You have that emotional heart, but you just contain the emotion at all times.
That's true. I think we used to have in a corporate, we have one-on-one sessions to most of the people on the various level peoples to understand each other. The moment you go into the one-on-one section, then there is two types of things comes. One is the personal life and the professional life. The one-on-one is basically to understand how we can improve the performance of a person. But definitely the performance is correlated back with the personal challenges one is going through in his life. Invariably, that will come into the part of the discussion. We can't ignore
Invariably.
it. We can say
Invariably.
that.
Yeah.
So when you get into that, sometimes it's a highly emotional, highly challenging that they go through and painful situation. But we are helpless to the extent. So I said, yes, leave it. And what best we can able to add performance more, which he can able to diminish, because he has to deal his life on his own. And no more we can able to be a shadow to his life. And we cannot be shadow to the multi-billion people who have been working along with you there. Somewhere we listen, and what best you can able to support them and just get detached from those issues. Otherwise, other day what we're talking about, we keep carving or not carving, but we'll keep lingering with those challenges.
Correct. The problem is to be detached. We make their problem our problem.
Yes, we take there. So the gentleman also does it, put all his baggage into our head and he will leave happily. It's up to us whether we carry the luggage or drop there itself. It's very
That's
clear
important.
in our thoughts.
Very important. Very important. Very true. Very true, sir. Hariji, all the while we've been talking of this example. Now you say that there's interesting parallel. Hariji is just woken up now.
Hariom Guruji.
Hariom ji.
Yes, Guruji. No, I was trying to type it out personally to you, but it went to everyone, and it went before I finished. So I will complete and send it to you.
Okay. Please.
I'm sorry. Sorry for
Not at
having
all.
distracted me.
Not at all. Not at all. There is a very interesting reference of a drama troupe. This drama troupe were enacting various plays of Shakespeare. And it was a 10-day tour. And they've chosen 10 different plays of Shakespearean dramas. So there were 2 lead roles, one male and one female. So all the lead roles, these 2 male and female roles, they were enacting. So I'll just take a mention of the 4 roles, the 4 different plays. One was Merchant and Venice. So they were husband and wife one day. The next day they played the role of the 12th night. They were brother and sister. The third day they played the role of Hamlet. One was the mother, other was the son. The fourth day they played King Lear. One was father, other was daughter. So one day they were husband, wife. Second day they were brother, sister. Third day they were son and mother. Fourth day they were father and daughter. Now, after 10 days, they both sat together, not knowing what is our relationship. They were so confused. Who is who? You get what I'm saying? What that reference says, that you got to be so detached to your role. The problem is we are very involved to our roles we are playing. We're so involved. So therefore, the message is, remember, the world is a stage. All men and women are mere players. So understand it and play it. Right, so let's move on. We'll take up the last verse in this chapter, verse 30, please. Sadhi bhutadhi daivam mam sadhi yajñam cha ye viduhu prayana kale picha mam te vidur yukta chetasaha sadhi bhutadhi daivam mam sadhi yajñam cha ye viduhu prayana kale picha mam te vidur yukta chetasaha. Those who know me with Adibhuta, which means above elements, Adi Daiva, above gods, and Adi Yajna, above sacrifice, even at the time of death. Yukta Chetasaha, Yukta Chetasaha, steadfast in mind, Viduhu, 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 Yukta Chetasaha. Such a person know me, Mam, Mam Viduhu, know me. Adibhuta, Adidaiva, Adiyajna. So he uses 3 terms. Adibhuta means the 5 elements. The 5 elements are space, air, fire, water, earth. Adibhuta means above elements, above these 5 elements, above matter. Adidaiva, above gods. Gods symbolizes the senses. So above gods, senses symbolizes the various manifestations the various expressions, the various powers of God, which are represented by the gods and goddesses of Hindu pantheon. The various gods and goddesses. Rajima, what are mentioned the various gods and goddesses and what do they symbolize?
Guruji, to name a few, Hanumanji, total devotion to Lord Rama.
What does it symbolize?
What is surrender? Is it surrender?
What does Hanumanji symbolize?
Ananya Chinta. Only having the thought of Lord Rama.
You're talking of the process, but what Hanumanji symbolizes?
Strength, Bala, Buddhi, Vidya. No, Guruji? Service and sacrifice.
Tell Harishji to complete his points on sun rays. Let him not get distracted.
God is
What
Lakshmi,
does
wealth.
no, don't move on. Hanumanji clarify panungo. What does Hanuman symbolize? Why do you worship Lord Hanuman? Fundamentally, who is Hanuman?
Vayu Putra, or the Lord's Sri Ram's chief sevak. No, Guruji.
Gayatri Ma.
I worship Hanuman for, as a symbol of bhakti, that is the emotion part and the mind part.
Hanumanji, you worship Hanumanji because Hanuman symbolizes the mind. Hanuman is a monkey, and the nature of a monkey is asthira and chanchala. Chanchal man nitram japa kar. That is the nature of the mind, isn't it? But what Hanumanji did, he brought a sense of, he got it transfixed on Rama. He brought that ananya chinta to the thought which has chinta, constant worrying. So why we pray Hanumanji is because Hanumanji had conquered the impulsive and the restless nature of the mind. He got it, that single pointedness, and attained perfection. So when we pray Hanumanji, we want to achieve that quality of Atma Vinigraha. You got to bring in that discipline and control over my own mind, which he has achieved. And said it's possible. So when you worship him, you remind yourself, I also want to achieve it. How do you achieve it? By transfixing your thought to the higher. It's a beautiful song. We all should sing together when we sit for a bhajan one day. Soon we'll be sitting. We should sing that. For now, Reddy Garu will sing for us. Sir, it's been long pending that you are supposed to sing and chant for us. It's been long pending, sir.
Guruji, already there is a war in Ukraine and Russia. Let's not create further here.
You think to that extent it will go? It's a beautiful song. So carry on, Rajima. Hanumanji symbolizes the mind. What else?
Goddess Lakshmi for wealth. Goddess Saraswati for knowledge. God, Lord Shiva for destruction of evil.
Hmm.
And, so many more. Lord Ganesha, remover of obstacles. And wisdom, of course.
So when the word Adi Daiva, above gods, you get that? So the gods symbolizes the senses, we said. Hariji, tell how is it that the god symbolizes senses? Or how is the connection between the god and the senses here?
All the senses are connected with the elements, five elements. The ear with the space, the fire, various senses with the respective elements. And that is the, if you are now taking, I can give, if you are taking about fire, that shows the energy of the person, any human being. That is connected with one of the fire in us, that fire element. And also knowledge, that is why Jada Veda, that all in the fire is known as the all-knower. So with each function, it is connected with each devas. That's how I try to interpret. And we know that the Shakti cannot, Shaktiman cannot exist without Shakti. I mean, the Shiva cannot be there without the Shakti. Shakti is Parvati.
Right. Thank you, Hariji. Now, what I would request is the next chapter, Arjuna is asking questions, the very first two verses. What is this you say? I don't understand. You use some terms. See, out of the blue, Lord Krishna uses this term, Adi Yajna, Adi Daiva, and Adi Bhuta. So, obviously, in a conversation, Arjuna also is confused. What are these terms? I don't understand. Here we are interpreting it. So, in the next chapter, the Lord actually explains himself what these terms are. So, if we can little hold back, and then we'll get the entire explanation of these terms in the subsequent chapter. But what we got to understand is Adi Daiva, which are the senses, which symbolizes the gods. The gods are the manifestations of the various powers in the world. So this is the interpretation. So above, God is above this, above the manifestations of, see, God is above the gods. This is what we got to understand. When they use the word God in singular, it means the Brahman. The multiple gods and goddesses are the symbols of the various powers in the world. Like there's God of destruction, there's God of procreation, there's gods for disease, there's God for birth, there's all the various devas, all the various pursuits also divinized. Like you have desire for wealth, you desire for power, desire for knowledge, everything is divinized. So these are the various expressions or manifestations in the world. So when you worship the various gods, you're not worshipping Brahman. Brahman is beyond this. So therefore, Adi Daiva means above the gods, above the devas. Okay. Now, and then he says Adi Yajna. Adi Yajna refers to the presiding deity, which is the Atman, the pure consciousness. As I've said, all these terms will be clarified soon, but just take a note of it. Even at the time of death, which means within this lifespan, if you do so steadfast in your mind, you know me. Knowing me is nothing but becoming the self, becoming the Atma. Enna Hariji?
Guruji, can you explain a little bit about yajna, Adi Yajna? I've been trying to get into it. How are we getting connected? The Adi Deva and Adi Buddha, I have understood. The Adi, the word yajna. Or if you want to do it next class, that is fine.
I need to come prepared, sir. I'm not prepared.
Okay.
That's the best excuse I can find, you know. Otherwise, I don't know what to say. Sir, there's an interesting thing. It just comes as a flash when you ask me, why is it called the presiding deity? The presiding deity is the pure consciousness. You know, if you go back to the 3rd chapter, he says when humanity was created, what was created along with humanity?
Yajna.
There you go. So he says, Saha yajna praja srushva puro vacha prajapati. So that which presides over the spirit of action is the pure consciousness. That means that real action which presides, which controls, which oversees the right action is the pure consciousness. The right action is yajna. That could be perhaps one of the interpretations, which is Adi Yajna, which is above. So the first action which has sprung is Yajna. So that which presided it is Atman. So where does it come from? From the Atman only. Yes, sir. That could be a possible interpretation. Okay. Anything more to it, we'll see, sir. Right. So we'll Saumyama, steadfast in mind means, as we said, Ananya Chinta. You are very disciplined, your mind doesn't wander, your mind doesn't become fickle, your mind doesn't become restless. So there is a certain amount of consistency. Steadfast is, there's a consistency in your pursuit. So only when one is consistent, he says, you know me, you reach me, you get to the self. Okay. Right. Gayatri Ma, can you chant the first verse, Ma? Yeah. Before we chant the first verse, we will conclude. Yes, Hariji. Enna, sir.
Vijay, I have some confusion regarding verse 12 of this chapter that I have not, I try to understand. I have, that is, whatever natures that are Satvika, Rajasika and Tamasika, these know as from me alone. I am not in them, but they are in me. I haven't understood it, the concept correctly. That when he says that I am not in them, but they are in me. Though the example I understood that the waves, ocean is not in the waves, but waves are in the ocean. But when I translate that into the nature, the three natures, they are in me, but I am not in them. Little.
We could connect independently, sir.
Yeah, okay.
So we'll clarify it. Okay. Om Tat Sat Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Jnana Vijnana Yogo Nama Saptamodhyayaha. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Maya Saktamana Partha Yogam Yunjanmadashrayah Asamshayam Samagram Yathagnyasya Tachrunu. So this marks the end of chapter 7. Now the 8th chapter is titled The Yoga of Imperishable Brahman, Akshara Brahma Yoga, Ashtamodhyaya, the 8th chapter. Now, it has been an earnest desire to start the 8th chapter from the new facility, which will be the Wisdom Institute, right after our inauguration, which is scheduled for the 9th and 10th of April. So all the necessary information, invitation would reach all of you soon. So 9th and 10th of April is the inauguration. So right thereafter, we are seriously hoping that the facility would become operational. So the next Sunday class onwards would shift to the Wisdom Institute, which would be a physical offering, at the same time catering to those who are out of Hyderabad or not in a position to come to the Institute. The live streaming also would continue. But it would be a new beginning, because it would be a hybrid facility catering to the physical students in the auditorium, plus those who are virtually attending. So it will take a new adaptation to me, because need to do justice, but we are trying to put the system in place so that it can serve everybody well, and we are certain it would. So, which necessitates that we may have to give ourselves a little break for a week. The next class will take a break, because we all might be a little consumed and occupied with the necessary preparations, and also leaving the beginning of the chapter to begin from the Institute. So I suppose we all can wait for a week, join us for the inauguration. We'll conclude the session with the Shanti Mantra. Okay.
So Guruji,
Hariji, there's a lot of echo.
yeah, can't just switch off. Guruji, therefore you are saying that the the first verse of chapter 8 will be on 17th, because
Yes,
3rd is the
17th.
next week, 10th is the inauguration, and therefore 17th would be Sunday the 17th.
Yes, sir. 17th is the next Gita class.
Yes.
And I would strongly encourage and recommend to come to the facility so that we can experience that typical atmosphere of a Gurukul kind of an atmosphere where you can interact knowledge in a physical environment. So it has been our continuous effort to make that place conducive, make that place ideal for a teaching of this order. So you all are invited with an open heart. Okay, right. Anything, Hariji?
No, just to repeat whatever you said, that the 10th is the inauguration. It would be lovely if everybody is there.
So 9th and 10th, am I right?
9th and 10th, Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday. Saturday morning hour and a Sunday evening hour. This is at Hyderabad, Sanjay, India. Look forward to seeing you.
Yeah. I was aware Hyderabad was in India. No, it sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look forward. Very soon, sometime. Okay. Right. Thank you. Yes, Hariji?
Vijay, we have to be very specific. It is in India because there is a Hyderabad in Pakistan too.
Yes, sir.
When we, for all global thing, when we write Hyderabad, you have to, in a bigger letter, you have to say India. Otherwise, it will go to Pakistan.
We'll form a center in Pakistan also, sir. We are beyond boundaries. We'll go there as well. Okay. Right. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.